Welcome to the channel. This episode we're going to be looking at another 2 Crass reissues. Let me just put that down there. Right, okay, so we have MDC, Multi-Death Corporations, okay, and we have Hit Parade. Absolutely classic. Hit Parade, absolutely classic. So let's have a look at Multi-Death Corporations. Now I remember this, as you know from previous episodes, this is the original 7-inch singles that Crass Records released back in the 80s, and they're reissued as 12 inches. Let me show you the vinyl. Let's get it out. Look at that. Okay. And I'm just going to mention, if you stick around, I'm going to show you another Crass rarity at the end, which you might like. Let's show you some of the sleeve. So there. Yeah, I don't think I can show the middle. Don't think I can show on YouTube. So if you want to see what it is, then you'll need to get that. And then we have Hit Parade Plastic Culture. This is epic, and I mean epic. This is one of my favourite Crass records from back in the day. Actually, I loved it so much. It's got a fantastic electronic drum solo in it, and I contacted Hit Parade and said, could I use it on my radio show that I had? If you do a search for my radio show, and you'll hear it. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's weird because it's kind of like Crass were releasing it as a 12-inch dance mix, kind of. Yeah, but it's such a good track. Hit Parade also had a single, which are where the 2 tracks from here originated from, and they also had an album. Absolutely brilliant. But let's tell you a little bit more about them. Here's a little bit of info. The Punk Pioneers Crass continuing their vinyl release series, repressing the limited releases by adjacent artists. Multi-Death Corporation came out in 1983, and it addresses in lengthy linear notes the growth of corporations and violent suppression of left-wing politics. MDC were an Austin-based band, and they released material through ex-Dead Kennedy singer Jello Biafra, and they had influences such as Black Flag, DOA, as well as working with Crass Records. Okay, Hit Parade's an interesting one. They were a one-man band, the brainchild of Dave Hyndman, a member of the Anarchist Collective in Belfast. Penny Rimbaud says Hit Parade was one troubled man's attempt to deal with and describe the troubles that surrounded him in Belfast, where he lived with his family, friends and comrades. It's an absolutely fantastic track. I'm not going to play it because obviously I'll get a copyright, but check them out. They're available from One Little Independent Records. I'll put a link in the description. And I said, didn't I? I said I was going to show you something else. Let's check out another Crass collectible. This is the Crass, a pictorial history book. Look at the size of that. Okay, this was a book that was released I was going to do a standalone episode talking about this, but I'm just including it on this episode, talking about the Crass reissues. There's the Crass logo, nicely embossed. Can you see there? So basically, it is collections of all the bits and pieces. So we've got photos there. You've got flyers. There's fanzines. There's absolutely everything. There's bits from the music press, that's the NME there. I actually had that. I had the first release on Small Wonder Records, which was 5,000, and I think I've lost it. I don't know where it is, but look, it's got all the bits and pieces. Absolutely. Now, some people have said the text is very small, but you know, what can you do? I mean, it's quite a big book. I don't think you'd want it any bigger than that. I'll put a link in the description. Now, I actually went up to London to Rough Trade Records when they actually released this and saw Penny and G talking about the book.
So, tonight, Sunday night, we're here to talk about this new book, this picture book called Crass. I've been looking at it, it looks really fantastic. You'll be queuing up later to hopefully buy it. They will be signing it, so big round of applause for Penny and G.
I have to say I wasn't a great help during any of the project. I sort of
no help at all.
stood by in wonderment and rather wonder why I'm sitting in this seat right now, but we'll find out.
So is a book project an awkward project for you then, Penny?
The past is an awkward project for me. I don't do past. I'm sort of, it's hard enough dealing with them now, and that's good enough for me, sort of thing. So, I had a huge respect for what G did, and I think it's a beautiful piece of work, but it's certainly something that I have to admit to not having been interested and not being very helpful.
But it's not it's not a nostalgia book. I think a lot of the handouts and bits of writing and all the stuff that's in there is still so relevant.
You have re-released a lot of the old records. Would you see that as a different context because it's musical instead of pictorial?
Isn't it?
I think it was a matter of making good, actually. I mean, the opportunity to remaster stuff, particularly the 7-inch taken up to 12-inch, which was the project of all the bands that we worked with. And that was very rewarding because at last people could actually hear as they were in the studio, because everything was so squashed onto 7 inches that it really was pretty unlistenable, especially by today's standards.
I think that's the same with the Crass stuff.
Yeah.
The Crass LP, there was so much stuff in there, which obviously had to be crammed on because it was much longer than you should put on there. And I think, redoing them all, remastering it just opened it all up, and I think they sound fantastic.
And I heard how good mastering was then. It's even better now. But I don't think you can go further than that with that material. So door closed. That's it. And that, not to shut people out, but to say, well, this is the best we can do. And we were always attempting to do the best we could do.
That's why we finished in '84. We couldn't say it any other way. It would just be repetitive.
Yeah.
I couldn't make my works say it more clearer. It's just that's it. Enough. I can't. Otherwise we'll just be milking it really. And I wasn't interested. None of us were interested. So I think the book, as Penn said, it's a closure.
Because ultimately, this is the greatest thing about Crass. It was a very positive, empowering message. And that was in the records, and is that something that you're trying to say in the book as well?
No, I just collated it chronologically and let it speak.
So you didn't have any sense of the narrative before you started? It basically is as logical as just doing it in order?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't manipulate it in any way, no.
Yeah, there was contradictions because, the class differences in Crass were absurd, the age differences were absurd, the gender differences were profound, profoundly operated on, not profound in a negative sense, in a very positive sense. And so inevitably, I learned so much from Steve and G's street savvy. Coming from my background, I wasn't too good on the streets. And I think, like my savvy was having been trained to be sort of an admiral or a politician or whatever public school boys are meant to be. I could use that, you know, to balance up. So, we had such an extraordinary... If we were stopped by the police in those days, it doesn't work anymore, but just my accent would, oh, sorry sir, and they'd walk off. If Steve got out, he'd have been in the clink by. That's how it worked.
There's some books down there on the counter, and you're going to go down there in a few minutes and say hello.
Yeah, thank you for being there.
Yeah, thank you for everything.
And I actually got them to sign it. There. Okay, so it was published by published by Existential Press 2024. Printed by, hang on, let's see who it's printed by. Printed by Calvert's Cooperative, London. It's a nice item. So this episode we've looked at that, and we've looked at MDC, Multi-Deaf Corporations and Hit Parade. If you've made it this far, do me a favour, subscribe to the channel, share the show with your friends, and you can also support me, okay? So you can support me, you can just click. I put a lot of time, effort, passion, my camera lady is laughing, into doing it. It's very hard running a channel on your own, so, you know, any support is greatly appreciated. Like I said, there's these two. On the channel, there's loads of stuff, okay? So the channel is obviously focused on music. There's interviews with musicians. There's lots of stuff about Crass. There's interviews with Steve Ignorant. There's interviews with the Subhumans. There's interviews with other musicians, Vince Clarke, Melly Mel, Man Parrish, Jean-Michel Jarre. I've got some interesting interviews coming up. There's a Chumbawamba episode that's really popular. There's stuff I've done with Tufty on the Paul Weller Woking tour. There's loads, so check it out. And also, we do episodes where we look at record fairs, and I talk to Dave, one of the dealers, and he shows me rare stuff. It could be Beatles, it could be Motown, it could all sorts. But there's loads on there. They're very popular. We're only a little channel, so if you like it, hit that bell, hit the notification, and yeah, have a great day, and we will catch you on the next episode.